So the question comes up a lot, and then when we're involved in litigation too, going back and getting the payroll and timekeeping records, and we get the question a lot, especially for employers that are growing. The issue is coming up a lot too if you've got remote workers, such as in construction, where they're working at a remote site and there's not electricity for them to log in on a standard timekeeping system. So are employers required to use, a particular timekeeping system? Does it have to be electronic? No, it doesn't. There is no legal requirement one way or the other. It just needs to be recorded. So pen and paper are just fine. A lot of employers are still using Excel, have the employee record their own time in an Excel spreadsheet or fill out a time card. But electronic timekeeping is becoming more popular and used more regularly. There's through the different POS systems and software that's out there. So we wanted to discuss, when you go electronically, what are some considerations? And the labor code actually, the wage orders and then the Division of Labor Standards Enforcement does have some opinions on what employers' obligations are in terms of keeping these electronic records. And so the wage orders required that the employers maintain these time records in the English language, in ink or other indelible form. And then the DLSC also sets out that the storage of records by electronics means can be done if it's retrievable in the state of California and may be printed in indelible format upon request of either the employee or the DLSC. Now, the DLSC came out with another opinion letter later in 1998 advising employers that electronic time records and the data could be maintained outside of the state of California as long as a hard copy of the records were maintained in a central location within California. So we've got these older opinion letters talking about maintaining these electronic records still within California. It's a little foreign now with cloud computing, like where does that data actually reside? But it's something to think about. We've got these older opinion letters that aren't legally binding on employers, but it is generally something to follow, and courts will look to the DLSC opinion letters on these matters as guidance, but they're not binding on courts. So it's something to consider about keeping a hard copy within California, electronically or on paper, and just have it here in California so you can prove that you're complying with the wage orders and these opinion letters. Now, we remind employers a lot, don't rely on your POS system or timekeeping system or payroll company to retain copies of the time records and pay stubs. Oftentimes, they only keep them for a short period of time, and then they're on a rolling basis being deleted. As Mike discussed, it's probably a good practice. So it is a good practice to keep them going back at least 4 years for some of the statute of limitations that could apply to wage and hour matters. So I recommend keeping an electronic backup and the pay stubs internally in your company and know how to sort those and gather them and have them ready to produce. Some other considerations, we'd like to see copies of schedules. This is often useful in litigation when it comes up about how long the employees work and what the expectation was for their hours. And also other things to keep in mind about if there is a dispute on how long employees worked or if they had to work off the clock. We normally turn to security badge swipes, gate badges, and when the gate was opened by the employee, computer login and log off times. So think about it. These other records that are out there, especially as we get more technical and employees are working remotely, that there is some other, I call it the sawdust that falls off that employers can still track and maintain. And it might be worth having a document preservation policies set up to record that or keep that information. So if there is a dispute about the time records, we can turn to some other reliable data to see how long the employee was working. And then also the other issue comes up is, how are they being stored? Are they easily searchable, easy to recover? Are they easy to manipulate too? So if you hand us in litigation, 4 years of a PDF of time records, that's going to take a lot of time to go through and analyze, versus if you've got it in an Excel format or other data format that it's easy to do some computation on that and sort and analyze. That might be easier. So it's worth taking a minute to think about how you're maintaining that data and how easy it is to work with as well.